Before we get started with today's video, something was brought to my attention from the last video after you defeat the Wereloop King that I honestly have never tried before. And as you can see, there's a whole lot of red flags of what kind of things could be done here. So if you return to where Roberta was kidnapped after you defeat the Wereloop King, you'll find that there isn't actually a solid anything in where the cage used to be. Instead, there is just a pit that leads to a very long, invisible, unrendered shaft, and a lot of things happen. A lot of questions can be asked with how this was even programmed to begin with. It doesn't lead to you actually having to reset your game. It does lead you to the sub-ocean of the game, though, which is where a lot of my enemies seem to want to go nowadays. But even with just the slightest movement when you hit the bottom of it, the game tries to correct itself in where Roberta should actually be and just kind of raises you up the shaft, as well as it can anyways. Which means that if I can get it in the right area, there we go, we can kind of see the majority of the Burrows map, maybe a little bit more of the Wereloop Woods. I'm not sure how far this actually pans out. But yeah, this thing is here. It never crossed my mind to actually return to this area because, well, again, why would you? And I guess the developers were really thinking, why would you ever come back here? Because we're not going to actually make it so that there's anything that prevents this from happening. So, yeah. If you're able to, try it yourself. It's pretty fascinating. Anyway, on with the video. Hello everyone and welcome back to Neopets, the Darkest Faerie. Last time we went into the Wereloop Woods, defeated the Wereloop King, and got Illisen's charm back. So that brings us back to Brightvale. Some dialogue changes have occurred, but nothing too notable. But we're really here to see King Hagen. Because now he's not telling us to go and get Illisen's charm. We already have it. So now he's just going to tell us to bring it to Illisen. That's pretty much it. Because without Illisen, we can't get into Meridel. And that is our ultimate priority here. Well, nothing more to be said here. So let's head to Illisen's Glade. We do have to go through the entire map of Illisen's Glade in order to get back to the lift, in order to get up to the treetops. Which makes me wonder, how are we going to use the lift? Because it was Master Torak who used the lift last time. Didn't think about that.
Sorry, this lift is out of service.
You! Come down here and fight!
Not really worth the trouble. You can't get up here. You don't have any way to awaken the Faerie. Why don't you run off and play until you grow big enough to be an actual threat?
Just you wait.
If you want to play those kind of games, you might as well give up right now. You have no hope of beating me.
No, just watch us!
Oh, good. It wouldn't be quite as much fun if you gave up. I'll see you later, then.
Great. Okay, so, first question. Who's Bob? I know it's Roberta and Tor talking to each other, but, I don't know who Bob is. It's not short for Roberta, either. But yeah, Roberta is mentioning that we need to go and see Tor's dad, because, he might know a way in order to get up now that the lift is completely broken. And we'll talk about the assassin a little bit later, but I will point you into the attention of the mechanical fruit picker that we now have to pick up. Because the guide, the definitive guide on how to get through the Darkest Faerie, has some very colorful, let's say, notes at this point of the game. As we make our way all the way back to the west side of the map. It goes something like this. You're finally here! Okay, you have to go into Illisen's Glade again. Run for the lift and go up her tree again, and give her back her charm and free her glade. You really thought I meant it, didn't you? You thought you'd be able to save Illisen's Glade now after all that running around. You must not know the Neopets team very well if you thought that. If you're a Neopets.com player, however, you saw this coming. Yes, you need yet another something to get up that damn tree. Go back to Tor's farm and get that weird thing your dad was working on. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you haven't been reading all the books. Feel shame. Feel deep-seated anxiety written haunts you for the rest of your life. Shame. I have a feeling the person who was writing this guide was all of a sudden having terrible flashbacks to just the multiple times that the game had to be played. But yes, we do have to go all the way around Meridel, through the Draken Ridge, in order to get to the outskirts and beyond. And let's just say that there are certain areas to the west of Meridel that are just kind of littered with minions. This area, not so much, even though the battle music is playing, and I'm not sure why. I guess it's time to go hunting, then. Battle music's playing, that means there's enemies somewhere. They're just hiding, or stuck in walls, or underneath the ground. Really wish that the game would stop falling apart on me. However, there is another thing we can pick up here, the Lightwater Treasure. If you're wanting to know something about the Lightwater Treasure and what the name is, in the manual for the game, there is the picture of the Lightwater Forest, which was, I guess, the original name for Illisen's Glade in an earlier build of the game. I'm not sure why they called it Lightwater Forest, though. Either that was just a placeholder name that they were using, or the Neopets license just came in afterwards for the development of the game and they just had to switch it up. But that's really the only clue I have to why this treasure is still called the Lightwater Treasure, because there's no other clues. The other thing we can do is Prince Torin has been here for the majority of the game, and we have his love letters to deliver to him from the princess in Brightvale. Except we can't. You see, this whole area is still corrupted, so that means that Prince Torin is corrupted. Means he wants nothing to do with us because he thinks we're thieves. Well, we'll have to come back later. See what we can do in order to get this quest that is the longest standing quest. And maybe we can do something later. However, around the corner, there are 2 Earth artilleries that we have to deal with, and I'm leaving this battle in just because of something really important to note. These 2 are around here. They're a little bit annoying because they follow the annoyance of the artillery's programming, where they just kind of run away from you at all times. But in my opinion, I recommend you fight these guys a couple times, because there is a very high chance that the artilleries will drop a large amount of Neopoints every time you kill them. And they spawn a lot. Pretty much every time I have to pass through this road, they show up at some point. Both of them can drop large amounts of Neopoints, so you can get anywhere between 600 to 1,000 Neopoints a fight if you're willing to do the work. Either that, or you can stand by golden grass in order to get the Neopoints there. Who knows? It's up to you. This is kind of a unique section of this game because all of a sudden we get a new quest, the Missing Farmers. Pay no attention to it, because it's really the game telling you what needs to happen before the game really tells you what needs to happen. It's pretty much telling us quietly to turn around and go the other way. But we're gonna have to get all the information that the game actually points us to before we actually do that. But first, there's a treasure that we need to get here, the last of the Farm Road treasures. The other thing to note is, well, the corrupted music here. There's really no reason to go here other than for, well, plot purposes. So when it comes to the actual tune of the corrupted farmlands and Tor's farm, ultimately, they're pretty unique tracks. If the game would stop audio glitching everywhere, which it tends to happen in this area. I had to reload 4 times in order to get this track to play properly. So at least that the quest log actually tells you that there's the missing farmers, but your family is still around, so in their corrupted selves, we can talk to them. And they have some nasty things to say. Mom has a Lady Macbeth fetish, and that useless, stupid girl is missing again. I wish it was in all capitals. But yeah, she is definitely changed. When it comes to Dad, however, he's usually known as the Tinkerer. Well, the opposite of that, he's really sick at fixing things. Hate fixing things, maybe I won't. And then I'll break them so they never bother me ever again. So yeah, we're not getting help from him anytime soon. If you thought it was going to be a walk in the park, you thought wrong. But here's that book that was mentioned in the guide that you probably have forgot about at this point. Something that fell from the sky. Sturdy enough. So that leaves one more person we need to talk to. Our sister. If the parents aren't going to help us, maybe Lucy is going to help us. Interesting that the Pets don't really seem bothered by what's going on here. But Lucy actually tells us that apparently tentacles have come and taken everyone. Dragged away into the Shadow Glen. So yes, that's what the Missing Farmers quest is for. Pretty much just direct you back to the Shadow Glen Woods. And the definitive guide also has something else to say at this point. Goes as follows. Ha! You are such a sucker! You really thought you could just walk in there and get that rope gun, didn't you? I laugh at you. No, of course you can't. This is a TNT written game. You have to save them first. Of course, they need saving. Everyone but you in this game is helpless. They're all useless. Even the knights. No one can defend themselves against the dark sky. Next time you go out in the rain, everyone in your neighborhood will be helplessly trapped by a giant monster but you, and you will have to kill all the flowers to free them. Yes, this is how life works. I don't understand how it's never happened to you before. It happens to the Neopets team all the time. Just ask them. Yeah, so it gets a little loopy. Let's just say that. But, of course, that ultimately leads to you actually having to go all the way back to the path to Shadow Glen Woods. Because it's round 2 for that area. Weren't you missing our grand adventures all the way back when we had to rescue our sister? Now we gotta rescue everybody else. The Minion Brutes are one of the few enemies that seems to have a way of actually avoiding being frozen all the time by the water moat, because you can freeze them when they are guarding. Really? Oh, goody, I have a land shark. Okay. Alright, land shark, where are ya? I can get you... Oop! Okay, I can get you targeted. But Roberta's not going to help here. Maybe I can do something with Tor in this case. Back it up into a corner. Ah, jump slashes work. Good. Dropped a lot of Neo points for that trouble. At least that's good. Anyway, time for round 2 of the Shadowglen Woods, because that's where the dark purple clouds are swirling. However, when it comes to Shadowglen Woods, there really isn't much changed, so we're just gonna beeline right towards where we fought the boss monster last time we were in here and see what happens.
I'm sorry. It's just that you make this too easy. It looks like some little friends are dying to have you for dinner.
Man, he is really annoying now. So when it comes to the assassin at this point, you can kind of think to yourself how he figured out that we are trying to save Orylen, because he's probably getting intel from the Darkest Faerie herself. Because otherwise he was just supposed to kill us. But I feel that there's more that could have been done between exchanges of the Darkest Faerie and the assassin, because there's only one in the game. Because ultimately he just leads us down into the Shadowglen Burrows. A small little map that's really insignificant, and you can just kind of breeze your way through it, because all there are these flower monsters, and you are more than powerful enough at this point to one-shot them. But I want to say that the assassin is actually being punished for lazily doing his job, because he should have killed Tor and Roberta at this point, but has just decided not to. So getting through the burrows actually leads us to this upper portion. An exclusive area that is really, really tiny, really small. You can see the area just below us of the boss creature. The only reason we're up here is 1, a save point, 2, the boss entrance, but 3, this is how we are going to be able to get that Shadowglen treasure that has been in our quest log for a very, very long time. It's in this little alcove over here. So what is inside this treasure that has been sitting there for ages? Money! Money, money, money. I'm getting a lot these last few videos. I'll have to use them at some point, because I've really have been holding off. Something I have specifically been saving for. But I think I'm getting an overabundance. Anyway, now that that treasure's done, and we have another pathway here that leads absolutely nowhere, like everything else in the Shadowglen Woods, you might be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, don't we have 3 treasures in the Shadowglen Woods? Yes, we do. That's because there is another Shadowglen treasure map that we don't have yet. So we're going to have to make one more trip before we're done here. We can't do anything about it now, so the only thing we can really do up in this area is just go over and into the boss area. Take it down. The Shadowglen Woods second run-through is really short, to be completely honest. There isn't much changed other than flower monsters and the occasional minion that also flies around. And even the boss is kind of uninspired too. Ready for Jumpy Monster 2.0? With more trapped people? Yeah, that's a... Ow! This better not be a trend of enemies just kind of getting the first shot on me. So yes, Jumpy Monster 2.0, now with extra thorns. He kind of follows the same pattern as the first one, except there's a twist. Tor can't hurt this version of the Jumpy Monster. So you can do this kind of 2 ways. One is going to take a lot of extra time in order to do, which is have Tor do the first phase and then Roberta do the second phase. The first phase being take down the tentacles, because once the tentacles are dealt with, then the Jumpy Monster reappears. So when it comes to the second part, it's Roberta's time to shine. So the Jumpy Monster will hit its head and then be stunned over there. It's at this point that you actually have to shoot magic into its slightly open mouth. Yes, this boss really doesn't telegraph itself very well or communicate what you're supposed to do in order to hit it properly. So this can be a trade-off of sorts between Tor getting rid of the tentacles and Roberta actually hurting the monster, or you can just keep it with Roberta, because she can do double duty. The problem is that the opening for the mouth is very precise, so you need to actually be in line with the mouth in order for her shots to go in, because everything around it is invincible. Wind motes are the most effective as well, because the jumpy monster is Earth Elemental. And to make the boss just the slightest little bit more interesting is it does have a small little animation for it spitting poison at you. Just kind of like pecking its lips like he's, I don't know, ate a really nice meal, let's just say. He'll do this every single time you are not in the direct line of fire from one of those giant juppies, or he'll do it randomly. So either you have to be on top of a juppy or just behind it, which means that technically you might get hit by the monster, because my ability to dodge things is not that great. And again, strafing is an option, but sometimes is not all that handy. There we go. Just get in line and eat magic. So yeah, uninspired boss, kind of the same as the first. And with that, actually, the Shadowglen Woods is finished. Again, this area is really, really short. So yes, freeing Tor's farm is one of the easiest things to liberate. Except there's a bunch more people that we saved compared to just these three. But I guess they didn't want to model everybody. I can see that. So excuse me as I do my regular tradition of cleaning out the area for extra items that I can get. And you'll notice one other thing about this map is that it's actually reused from the first one. The way that I kind of know that is because of the green glowing thing in the center here. And now that we have Roberta, we can rub it. Oh, magic. Pixel orb of magic. What do you see for me? Anyway, let's head out and fully liberate everything. Yeah, no special cutscene for Tor's farm, except we do get an awkward exchange with the parents, because I think they're talking with Tor. So for our troubles, he gives us a very special item. The rope gun. The one that fell from the sky. Now, presumably, according to the guide, this is from Kurluter and the space station, but there really isn't anything in-game to confirm this. But this is going to help us in our next step of freeing Illison. Thanks, Dad. I love this screen so much because it's so awkward. I'm like, I'm not your son. So yeah, everything's nice and cheery now. And it's been a while since we've been here, so we might as well just, like, check up on our parents. And our sister. Yeah, I'm getting good at this. I have more armor than ever now. Alright, Mom. You still saying bad things about Lucy? No. Of course not. Maybe that was just, like, deep in her mind. Now with Roberta, actually, the entire family has unique dialogue for her, because they have to recognize that Roberta is Tor's friend who's helping out. So it's nice that this dialogue is actually here. But there's a thing with Lucy that's a little bit off. First, capital S friend. Can I touch your head? And Roberta doesn't have anything to say, except she makes a very weird face. This seems to be a small section of the game that I guess they didn't account for people actually talking to all of the characters, so Roberta just doesn't have anything to say to Lucy. It's just all blank. Like her mind. We will never know the answer. Blue balls again! Imagine if Lucy actually had powers. So, the first thing that happens with talking with Hubert is depending on whether or not you have the Broken Watch side quest. This could actually be finished when Hubert is corrupted, but through the magic of editing, I removed it. So that is actually proper when he's actually good and ready to go. So now that we have a polished pocket watch, we can now return it when we go there next for, I guess, a side stop anyways. Yay, we did it. He loves waving right after he's done with it. But I find that's only when Tor is actually speaking with him, because Roberta, it's a little bit different. I guess the other reason is that he doesn't wave to someone who's actually not paying attention. Roberta, stop looking to the right. What's so interesting there? I'm sorry, what? I wasn't paying attention. There was a piece of dust over there. Anyway, all said and done. So we have the pocket watch that is completely restored, and we have the rope gun, which the only instructions are actually in the description of the item. The R2 button is how we're going to be using that. But I also have Hubert's chest key, and I've been trying to figure out how I actually have that. And I think it's because when I went to the Wereloop Burrows, you need the Fang necklace in order to get in there. And it's actually a one-use item, so once it's there, once you use it there, it's gone. And I think there's a chance that the game just decides to replace that section of the key item list with something else. But I've tried doing the burrows twice after this point, and I haven't gotten it to replicate. So I'm not sure what actually made it happen. I just know that I did not have it entering the burrows, but I had it leaving it. Sadly with Claire, we can't play hide and seek with her anymore. Oh well. At least she doesn't laugh weird anymore. The other unfortunate thing is that even though there is unique dialogue for Tor's family, there isn't for the farmers. There is something weird, though, that we're going to be taking a look at, mainly with one of the farmers. Because it's the strangest glitch I've actually seen so far. So I'm going to kill this thief. And I want you to listen to the sound. I've had sound issues with this game before, but it's just when none of the music is playing at all, when it's loading in. I've never had it where the music, plays half to a quarter of its track before, and I don't understand what's triggered it this run through. It might have something to do with the fact that Farmer Addison doesn't say anything either, but he's never said anything in any of the runs I've ever done. But I've never had this happen. The other thing, though, is that if you get away from Farmer Addison enough, the music's back. This is baffling to me, so I had to do a little bit of testing. And that meant actually going away from Farmer Addison and then going back to him to see if that problem would happen again. So listen. It stops again. And then I had to really do some testing here because, again, can't talk to him. He's just standing there. And apparently when I get further away, the music fixes itself, but if I get close to Farmer Addison, it goes away. So there it is. Okay, the music's back. Alright, let's try getting close to Farmer Addison. Okay, it's gone. Music's back. I get onto the other side of the road and it's back. Now it's gone. I don't understand why this has happened. I thought it was good for my glitch quota for, ever. But there's just more things that show up. So I did another test and decided to go into the cellar, which you can still do even after all this time. No reason to, but the dungeon doesn't immediately lock itself afterwards. Then immediately leave and see what happens with the sound. Hey, it's fixed! I still can't talk to Farmer Addison, but at least it's fixed. So yeah, adventures into new glitches that I'm finding every single time. This game is a treasure. For how long? Old Man Boggs is a little bit worse for wear when it comes to this. You might need to see someone, let's just say that. Clouds will be back soon. Why even bother? It's a little unfortunate that I'm leaving on such a low note with the farmers. But we do have places to go and things to see. First thing is that you might remember that this peg is up here, taunting us since the beginning of the game. Well, now that we have the rope gun, we can do something with it. Press R2 when the reticle is green, and look at our hookshot go! Our little reward is a potion of Mirka speed, which I really haven't been using, but there's going to be a bonus video coming up pretty shortly, and that'll really be demonstrating the potions of Mirka speed to their, I guess, a full demonstration. And before we're done here, because we have liberated Tor's farm, it's just enough in order to make sure that we can actually talk to Prince Torin. His eyes may be purple, but his mind is returned. So now we can deliver the love letters, and we've finished the quest. He gives us all the money that he has, which is his very specific 1019, and he will be on his way in order to be reunited with his love. Or I guess united with his love. I don't know if they've ever... I guess I've met before. Anyway, they'll be together, which is always good. Ending off with love. I think that's a good way to end this really loaded video. So, where do we go from here? Well, now that we have the fruit picker, we can now go to Illisen's Glade and actually liberate her. I think that's really all that needs to be said there. Because after that, we can go into Meridel. Exciting. We're almost there. Just got a few more steps to do. So I'll see you next time, everyone. As we head into Illisen's Glade, hopefully, fingers crossed, for the last time.